Okay, Texans Colts, more serious manner. We talked about how Lance's unnamed NFL Network buddy doesn't think it'll be a close game. I am leaning that way unless what I think the Texans' big flaw shows itself. If they don't stop the run, and we talked about this a bit yesterday, I think this game turns into one that gets very uncomfortable, where the Colts are in very favorable situations, where they can use Anthony Richardson more in the run game, can use the threat of him running the football to get guys open. I don't think it'll be this dynamic timing based passing game. I think it'll be crossers that hurt the Texans, where it's 3rd and 3 and the Colts can play games underneath where he doesn't have to throw into uh, some of your shell coverages as you're trying to lock them down over the top, because I don't think Anthony Richardson's going to thrive in the intermediates with the intermediate stuff. It's going to have to be the short stuff, run after the catch from his receivers like A.D. Mitchell and Pierce, and I always say Bennett, but it's Bennett, right? I always say no. Yeah,
Who?
I
What?
always say Bennett, but it's not Bennett. It's another NFL
On
name,
on
Pittman. It's Pittman. I always think Bennett when I'm thinking Pittman, just because it's another. I don't know. It's another name. I remember watching his brother in his YouTube channel, and the dad would come on, and then uh and then and then Pittman would come on to the Colts wide receiver. So I always get those confused. But Pittman, Pierce, and Mitchell, I don't know how much they're going to operate in their intermediate, but if you can suck up those linebackers because they're threatened by the running game, certainly that'll give some open space for Anthony Richardson to operate. So can the Texans make it a lot of 2nd and 8s and 3rd and 7s, or is it always going to be in that range where he can pick it up with his legs, he can extend the play, and or some guy can come open because you're running some rub routes underneath. I hope that's not the case, because then the game gets short and uncomfortable because your possessions drop and your time on the field drops, and all of a sudden you're on the field for longer than you would want. I think that's the Colts' path to victory. Can the Texans do the basic thing of stopping the run? Can they shut down Jonathan Taylor? And then maybe Lance's buddy is correct. It's a long day for the Colts as the Texans pick apart what is a weak Colts secondary. I think that's the one. If we're talking about the fatal flaw of what could be a really good team, the middle of their defense, particularly when Danico Autry isn't even available to help them out, and of course a rookie corner, and you have some other guys who maybe on their last chance when it comes to Jeff Okuda. That could be a problem too. But stop the run, force Richardson into clear passing situations where he needs to throw the ball down the field to make plays. And you got a real shot to win this game relatively easily. But that's why they play the game, right? All right, let's get to Jason. He wants to talk Texans, and then we'll get out of here for hour one. What's up, Jason?
Hey guys, I have a Texans question, and I have a nonsensical question.
Welcome. Go ahead.
So yeah, my Texans question is, which of our running backs do you think will be more prevalent in the pass game, Joe Mixon or Cam Akers? And the nonsensical question is, if you left the office but you were not home, or not, you were headed home but you didn't make it home yet, and you really had to use the bathroom, what is the cleanest place you could possibly stop and use it? Thank you.
Ooh,
Have a good one.
I don't mind it because, I mean, I don't have big issues with this, but it can always pop up. We all know you thought you're okay and then you're not okay. I notice when anxiety hits, like if I'm worried about being late someplace, then all of a sudden the anxiety of that affects other things. Let's get to his first question. How much is Cam Akers actually going to play? Are they going to designate him the third down back? That's my first question. Because Joe Mixon is pretty good in the passing game, and you would probably consider him a three-down back. So are they going to take Joe Mixon off the field because they think Cam Akers is dynamic enough for that to be viable? I hadn't thought of it, but that's a good question.
Yeah, I know on their unofficial depth chart that they put out, they had Akers as the fourth running back.
Yeah, so at least
But
as Sean mentioned, unofficially, he's not even. But the fourth running back doesn't mean.
that doesn't. Also, it doesn't actually. It
doesn't mean
anything.
anything.
They could play their fourth string running back more than Dare.
Yeah.
He's behind Dare.
Very true. Very true.
So,
but to answer his question, I guess since he
would,
asked a direct one, what do we think?
I would assume Joe Mixon, especially early on, especially early in the year, is going to be the 3-down back.
Yeah, and I would think the Texans can avoid some of their issues last year of always running the ball on first down. They did that a lot last year, and running the ball on second down when it should be a more favorable pass situation. I could see Joe Mixon being in there on third down because he's not getting carries early. It just depends on how Bobby Slowick is going to put the game plan together. Because if Joe Mixon's getting a ton of carries on first and second down, then you may see a different back. Wouldn't be Dameon Pierce. It probably would be Cam Akers. But he's an accomplished guy, Joe Mixon. So right now, I'll agree with Sean. Particularly if Slowick goes the way I think he should when it comes to how they game plan. Put the ball in your best player's hand early, and that means there's not a lot of wear and tear on Joe Mixon on those early downs, so he can be out there on third down. So we'll go with Joe Mixon early. And of course, if it's a disaster, and disaster is a strong word, but if it doesn't go well early, then you could see Cam Akers out there. I do think Cam Akers will have a role, despite my outlandish stand on business take that Dameon Pierce will be clearly the best back by the time November rolls around. And it was solely based on how they were talking about him in camp, particularly when Joe Mixon wasn't practicing. We didn't see any evidence of that on the field for Dameon Pierce, but DeMeco Ryans has been talking about this 1-2 punch of Mixon and Pierce since minicamp. We're talking May and June. He's been talking about these guys playing together. So I'm just taking DeMeco at his word.
Yes, on the doc it says Dameon Pierce will be clearly the best running back on the Texans before November. Parentheses, if DeMeco and Baldinger are right. I don't know how Brian Baldinger
he saw him at
there,
practice.
Oh, okay.
He saw them when they were in Ohio for that week of practice. He saw them.
That's right.
That's where that came from. All I'm going by is is you don't trust Brian Baldinger? You don't trust DeMeco Ryans? I just trust the people who should know. And if I'm wrong, I blame them for misleading me.
Yep, that's the way to do